Moroney.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Minister for Women's Affairs. Is she satisfied with the action this government has taken to improve the lives of women in New Zealand?
The Honourable Joe Goodhew.
Mr. Speaker, yes, and I will give the House some examples to demonstrate this, but I acknowledge there is still more work to be done. My priorities are to increase women's safety from violence, their participation in leadership roles.
Order. The question didn't ask about the Minister's priorities at all. All the question asked was, is she satisfied with the action this government has taken to improve the lives of women in New Zealand? I think the Minister answered that. Moroney, supplementary question.
Supplementary. What action has she taken to address reports from Wellington Rape Crisis that a funding crisis has forced them to close down 1 day a week when demand for their services has nearly doubled in the last year, given that she does have a goal of increasing the safety of New Zealand women?
The Honourable Joe Goodhew.
Mr. Speaker, ministerial responsibility for the funding and working with rape crisis does not rest with me as Minister of Women's Affairs. However, reducing sexual violence, as the member has already alluded, does remain a priority for me. The Ministry of Women's Affairs contributes to cross-government work in this area and has reviewed New Zealand and international literature on sexual re-victimisation, compiling evidence base that will be used to good effect across government work.
Point of order.
Point of order, Moroney.
Point of order. Mr. Speaker, my question specifically asked what action she had taken to address reports from the Wellington Rape Crisis Centre about their predicament, and she didn't address that question at all.
Order. The House will come back to order, please. I thought I fairly clearly heard the Minister say she didn't have responsibility for the funding of the Rape Crisis Centre, and that is a perfectly fair answer to the question asked.
Point of order.
Point of order, Moroney.
Point of order. As I pointed out in my question, the Minister has a goal of increasing the safety of New Zealand women. That does mean that she has responsibility.
Order. The Speaker cannot argue with the Minister over who has responsibility for certain things. The Minister, I heard very clearly say she didn't have responsibility. That's the end of the matter. Does the member wish to ask a further supplementary? Moroney.
Will she then reinstate the Comprehensive Action Plan for New Zealand Women, which her government discontinued in 2009 and which the United Nations has requested be reinstated to improve the lives of New Zealand women? Will she take any action?
The Honourable Joe Goodhew.
Mr. Speaker, I'm very happy to answer this question because this government has not just an action plan for women, but in fact action plans across the government sector that women will definitely benefit from. Can I give one very good example of an action plan that will be very beneficial for women? The Reducing Crime Action Plan will reduce violent crime by 20% over the next 5 years. As that member knows, women are disproportionately victims of crime. Therefore, they will benefit more than men from this. Reducing reoffending by 25% over the next 5 years.
I think that's a reasonable answer to the question. We don't need to go on indefinitely with answers. Moroney, supplementary question.
Point of order.
Point of order, Moroney.
Mr. Speaker, I did ask if she would reinstate the action plan of women, and I still am no further ahead in my understanding.
Order. I just asked the member, though, please, if the member wants a very specific answer, please make the question short and to the point so that I can discern as Speaker whether or not it is being answered. I believe the question went on somewhat longer than that, and that's why I let the answer go on a bit longer. But the member has a further supplementary question if she wishes to be very precise about it. Moroney.
Supplementary. Is she the first Minister of Women's Affairs to vote against extending paid parental leave? A straight question, Minister.
The Honourable Joe Goodhew.
Mr. Speaker, in regard to paid parental leave, the government voted against the member's bill. However, we still spend $157 million on providing the current 14 weeks of pay, and I believe the member cannot require a yes or no answer, and therefore I will say that the dangers of running up huge deficits through extending paid parental leave is not something this government is willing to go down the track of.
Order. Point of order, the Right Honourable Winston Peters.
Was asked directly whether she was the first minister to vote a certain way, and she has yet to give us the answer.
Order. The member will resume his seat. The member may wish to reflect on the ministerial responsibility a member has for a member's vote. Now, this is question time about ministers' ministerial responsibilities, not about how members vote in this House. And I allowed the question, but strictly I believe the question was not in order. And so I'm not going to force a minister to give a yes or no answer on something that there is no ministerial responsibility for. Votes in this House are the votes of members. Question number 11, Jan Logie.
Mr. Speaker, thank you, Mr.